How do people not vote for this? Joining us tonight to talk about this and a whole lot more is Joshua Smith.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Tim. I appreciate it.
Who are you?
I'm a candidate for president of the United States of America for the Libertarian Party. Some are calling me the preeminent candidate. I've been an at-large and vice chair on the Libertarian National Committee since 2018 in one form or another. Came from the Ron Paul Revolution in 2008, worked on his campaign, and then he, of course, endorsed me famously in 2020 for chair of the Libertarian National Committee. So
wow.
That's where I'm at. It was the pinnacle of my life next to my children.
Are you going to have Michael Malice be your press secretary?
I have said that I will force him by court order if need be. So
Is mass ballot harvesting under the guise of COVID?
There's no doubt that that's part of this push. I mean, they definitely want mail-in voting as much as possible. Look, the Democrats are going to do anything they possibly can to win. I just don't think they can do it with Biden. But COVID is not out of the realm of possibility to force this election to be done through mail-in voting.
I don't think that we're not talking in a vacuum right now. Like millions of people are listening to us, and if we make enough noise ahead of time and shock people out of the stupor, they won't even get off the ground.
We have
Agreed.
to. I spent two full years rallying against this stuff on my smaller podcast, and you definitely the big podcasters, the big shows have got to push this, mass.
It was, I think, Scott Adams.
I've been called the blackest member of the Libertarian Party several times.
I never 23andMe'd myself, so I don't know if I'm black or white or color or not.
I'm confident that you're white.
Well, you made a good point there with the fact that they're not gonna change the goal. The goal is always going to stay the same, and that's what worries me about the Russia thing. Right? Is that if COVID doesn't work, there's a damn good chance that they use a hot war.
What do you think is the goal with Russia?
The goal with Russia right now, I honestly think that it's to push them towards the one world government. I mean, if you want to get really deep into Alex Jones territory,
it's not Alex Jones.
But hold on, their network goes down because all of the computers get encrypted instantly.
The pipeline.
How do they take out
exactly?
How do they take out Nord Stream?
That
who took out Nord Stream?
Yeah, exactly.
They.
Who is
they?
Not they. Not that
the
day.
CIA. Yeah. That was China.
We found Putin's passport.
I like that. I like that line of thinking because us podcasters and guys who do shows, we're constantly talking about who's our biggest enemy. Who's our biggest? These guys are going to attack thermonuclear war. Our biggest enemy's right here, man. You know what I mean? Like the American government can do whatever they want. They could shut off our resources. I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty scary to think about what they could do to us.
He could have said that a guy told him, but instead he came out and said it's true.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't. Did he actually say it's true? So I mean, maybe
this could confirm the Big Mike rumors, though.
Yeah. I don't know if that on at it to make light of it, but it's not substantially. It doesn't matter.
It's fun on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. It's a funny. It's a funny meme.
It's fun on the internet, and we were talking about this before. Listen, if you're involved in politics but you're not taking part in the culture war, you're dead in the water, right? We talked about that on the way here. Every single candidate for anything, Pete Buttigieg, anybody who's got some kind of diverse identity of any sort is going to put that at the very forefront to deflect them from all of their bad policies. And Obama would just do that. He'd write another memoir, and everybody would go buy it and forget all about it. So.
What's I don't know, but I do think things are changing, right? That statistic about 12th grade
kids,
12th grade boys being or males, they're adults, skewing conservative.
Yeah,
I actually, as you mentioned, if you're not in the culture where you're not in politics,
exactly.
Yeah, I think we're at heavy market saturation for politics. It's becoming pop culture.
Listen, this is as a candidate for president. I am not. I'm not out seeking the legacy like corporate news media. I'm seeking the big podcasters. Right. That's who I want. That's who I want to go to. When you have candidates for the office of the entire United States executive branch that are seeking out podcasts instead of the corporate news media, the corporate news media is dead.
Dude, what's your plan, man? Your presidential plan?
So we have a whole website, has all our platforms up there.
Abolish things.
Yeah. So I've talked about, much like Vivek, who I think may have stolen one of my platform points, by the way. I'm pretty sure that he stole one for the debate. I had never heard a presidential candidate talk about how the federal government subsidizes separating families and states until he spoke about it on the debate. But I do want to abolish Title 4D of the Social Security Act, which is an incentive from the federal government. They give $3 for every $2 spent on child support and enforcement programs in every state. So they're incentivizing the state to create a visitor out of one parent and a custodian parent out of the other parent. And then if this parent has any issues, they criminalize them and take more. So we're talking $3 for every $2 given. That's what they do. And if you look since 1975, when Ford signed this into law, if you look since then, the amount of fatherless homes has increased tenfold. I mean, insane amount. And 1 in 4 kids lives in a fatherless home.
And then after we answer that, my question for you, Joshua, is are you also going to lock people up?
Yeah, I definitely want to investigate the COVID regime and
Fauci?
Fauci, Safer, any governors that
say yes.
Who's
yes.
safer?
Because
yes.
I feel like saying just the COVID regime doesn't go far enough.
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't go far enough. Oh,
Not
Phil's
nearly far.
There's definitely people that need to be locked up.
Don't let them turn you to the dark side.
Yes. No, they won't.
No, the light is
is-
trying to save. It's like when you're a boss at a company and you know you can't fire someone, so you put them in the janitor's closet
Right.
and hope they quit.
My goal is to get rid of everybody at the ATF and then level the ATF building and turn it into a dog park. I'd auction off all the leftover ATF equipment.
No.
So that
I absolutely.
so that we can pay reparations to people who had to unconstitutionally buy NFA tax stamps.
I am offended by this notion. I reject this notion. The ATF building should be turned into large gun super malls.
That would be good
There
too.
you go.
Yes, that's we can do both with the different buildings. But I think in honor of all the dogs murdered.
Wyoming has got an issue, and then I guess the courts could handle that.
Well,
I don't know.
I know the IRS is gone right away.
Oh yeah, first one out the door.
And I would like to abolish the income tax entirely. That includes estate tax, payroll tax, and capital gains tax.
How do people not vote for this?
And then I want to institute what's user fees, which is what the federal government always should have been.
User fees?
User fees.
Yeah, how does that work?
If you're an American paying the federal government and you don't need anything from the federal government, there's no reason you should be paying the federal government. Period. Plain and simple.
so like, what if you?
To make it, and then they just collect taxes to reduce inflation.
Just really quickly to add your point, and I don't know how many people watching know this, but prior to the National Tax Act and even the 16th Amendment, there was still a government that operated before they stole your money from
that's not true.
straight from your paycheck. Yeah, absolutely. And
That's
then,
just a story they tell kids to scare
you
them.
know, if you want national defense or whatever, I mean, listen, any patriotic American that likes their national defense system, if you told them, we're not going to take your payroll taxes anymore, but would you be willing to voluntarily crowdfund our national military with $10 a month? I guarantee you there's millions of people that are going to pay for that.
And a determined enemy will always beat an invading army.
And I will say to look up the Afghanistan papers if you haven't. I'm sure your crowd already knows about that. But the government knew that was an unwinnable war in Afghanistan, 100%, even at the very beginning.
But what they had to do to defend was the Taliban was living in caves and the Vietnamese were living underground, literally in tunnels for 10 years. They lived in tunnels.
And
What do you
right,
think
People in
That's the point.
Appalachia are going to do that?
Yes.
They're doing
Where are you going to go?
I think they would prefer that to
What's
having
the option?
Marines.
What's the option?
It's our backyard. The option
It's
is
an
you draft your
invasion.
neighbors and you get organized with the military.
It's an invasion.
I'm not
If
forcing
people-
anybody
listen,
to fight a war. I'll tell you this, if I was a tyrant
Right.
and I was running this country as a tyrant and I wanted to weaken this country to make it submit, one of the things I would do is I would send all of my troops to over 200 bases around the country.
The world?
In the world, yeah. 200 bases around the world and make it very easy to invade this country. Do you think if we started bringing our troops home, you'd be as worried about us having a war here in the United States?
I'd be less worried if our troops were at home.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
So bringing them home is the important and good and righteous thing in my
But then-
opinion. So I'm not gonna like go and play, civil war around the country with our military. It's not worked out for us. It's not worked out in the Middle East. That for decades and decades and decades. I think it's just it's bad to take a rogue province from Ukraine, but on the other hand, China's not allowed to take. I guess I'm mixing that up. They're not allowed to have their rogue province in Taiwan, right? And Ukraine has to get theirs back or whatever, even though they're mostly ethnic Russians living there. And so I'm not gonna like go and play civil war around the country with our military. It's not worked out for us. It's not worked out in the Middle East. That for decades and decades and decades. I think it's bad.
I mean, just more to defend against an invasion, not
Defend against, yeah, and I'm not at all against national defense. I think we have a much better chance of defending against an invasion if we have our troops at home, because nobody's trying to come here and attack us since 1930s, right? I mean, Pearl Harbor 40s, and
And that's still technically very, very far away.
Yeah.
Hawaii is very far. And
Yeah.
it was a military operation.
Yeah, it's far away. And it's like when we're talking about Taiwan, Taiwan is 7,000 miles away from here. It's only 90 miles from China. You know what I mean? If we go and have this theater over there by Taiwan, we're going to lose an aircraft carrier maybe. And what's Joe Biden going to do if we lose an aircraft carrier? I mean, it's going to get real ugly real quick.
It feels so much like Ukraine. Like it's just a little piece of land that's right next to their country that we have control of. It's like, dude, what?
I don't trust Vivek.
But they just want them to vote for him. They just want him to suck it up and vote for him.
I think I think that first of all, I've called Vivek out on Twitter a million times for a debate. If you're watching this, I'd love to debate you anytime. But I know that you'll get kicked out of the primary debates if you do that. I understand.
Is that a rule or something? Or
apparently, I did not know this, but I've been challenging him to a debate for a while. He said some things in the debates that I take issue with, and I'd like to talk to him, at least just talk to him on my show about it. And someone actually posted the RNC's rules that says if any candidate takes part in any of the unsanctioned debates around the country, they will be immediately removed.
What if you guys are just here having a conversation?
Yeah, that would be different, and I'd be okay with that.
It's not a debate, right?
Yeah, long form panel. I'd be down with that.
But I don't think Vivek will do it because I mentioned him talking with Dave Smith, and he was more like,
oh yeah, he was like, I'm only going to go for the real candidates, Trump.
Yeah, well, he's not even gonna get within 10 feet of Trump. That's the thing.
Trump doesn't want to debate.
And I said that. I said, I'm likely to be on the ballot as a libertarian. VP? Well, yeah, I guess that would change things. And I said that the Republican debate, the primary debate, was just a VP interview. That's really what
Donald Trump goes on stage and just interrupts and just says whatever, and it's like, well, there you go.
I agree. I agree 100%. I definitely sympathize more with somebody who feels like a normal person than a canned response. And that's my campaign's a blue collar working class campaign who's trying to appeal to the middle class. So I get it 100%.
You're like,
she's barely alive. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, they're carting her around. She gave power of attorney to her daughter and she's just being wheeled around. And they were like, now that you're back, are you going to vote? She's like, I never left. It's like, ma'am, you've been gone for a long time.
I will say that I've seen a lot more politicians looking bad over the last couple of years than I've ever seen in my entire life. Or maybe their adrenochrome supply ran out.
I wonder if COVID messed people up.
The old guard doesn't want to let go of power.
I will say that correlation is not causation, but I have seen a lot more politicians like this since the demise of Jeffrey Epstein, for sure. So could be an adrenochrome thing.
Stress
now that Epstein's shut down, Mitch is like
all of them are. I mean, we're watching politicians do stuff like this on a daily basis. I'm like, they know it's not.
Now hold on there a minute. You realize Media Matters are going to take what you just said seriously.
That's okay.
And then it's going to be in the Independent and the Daily Beast.
Listen, I want to be very clear about my presidential campaign. We're running a very serious campaign, but I'm the first libertarian that's going to tell you as a candidate for libertarian president that I am not going to win the presidency. Okay, I'm not under any illusion they're going to let us in the White House. We want 5% to change the political landscape in America.
What does it do?
It gives us national major party status. It will include us in the debates in the next election. It makes the federal government have to do all the same things for the Republicans and Democrats, for the Libertarians as well.
And then you run like a superstar?
Yeah, and then we run a superstar. They get in the debates. We start being a party that someone can trust. So I'm not going to come out here and lie to everybody and be like, whoa, any Libertarian candidate that's telling you he's going to win the presidency this year is a liar or suffering from delusions of grandeur. I mean, my goal is 5%, change the political landscape for the rest of eternity in the United States, make another national political party. Then you have a candidate that's actually circling the waters, making these people have to start governing like they campaign. Everything's different after that. Everything.
What's the difference between running a third party and running independent?
So we fought for ballot access as libertarians already. We're going to get on the ballot, and our party will be on the ballot at least 40 something states. We may not get all 50 this year because we don't have the money, but the fact that there's already, it's just
how much money does it cost?
So it just depends. There's some states that are really bad, like Tennessee needs like 200,000 signatures to get on the ballot. We've been fighting Tennessee ballot access laws ever since I've been in the party, since like 2010. New York is very hard. Alabama has been very hard. Some states we have it already and it's easy, and some states we get it by running smaller down ballot candidates that get a certain percentage, and we've gotten it that way.
So you need signatures, not necessarily money.
Signatures and or money, yeah.
Or money. It's one or the other.
Some states states are like that. Some states are just signatures.
What about taking over a state?
New Hampshire has been working on that for a long time, and I love the Free State Project. I think those guys have done a lot of really great stuff there. I don't know. I'm sure Phil would agree in some ways, right?
I think they're doing great things.
Yeah, I endorse the Free State Project for sure. I think that's a very smart idea. I talked about doing it in Iowa too. I think that Iowa's a very, very, very conservative, liberty-loving state too.
West Virginia is, but it's got to be cleaned up.
Yes,
there's a lot of red tape.
We didn't send a single Democrat to Washington from Iowa, not one.
Wow,
not a single one. You're welcome, America.
We can make change, and the cops will do as we say.
Alinsky tactics for sure, and it's
hands down.
They've been doing this for a long, long time here. It's subversion. They said we're going to get into your institutions. We're going to get into your kids' daycares. We're going to get into your health care. We're going to get into your government, and we're going to take it over. That's what they've been telling us they were going to do that.
People,
I in my head, I take a very Hoppe approach to this. I think that if you want to have a libertarian society, you can have no tolerance at all in your libertarian society for communism. I believe.
What does that mean? Hoppe?
Hans Hermann Hoppe is he's a writer who talks a lot about libertarian.
Just like no communists allowed.
Yeah, I mean you can't. He takes a little further than that, but yeah, he says that in a libertarian society you cannot suffer the communists. They have to be physically removed.
Like not even a communist party?
Not at all.
No crap, you're losing. They're cheating.
That's what people tell me when I say I want to ban get rid of the NFA and ban the NICS, right? And people are like, well, then criminals are going to be able to do this and do that and do that. And I'm like, they're already doing that. Go to Chicago, man. They got 50 round magazines on their Glocks with a illegal switch.
Yeah, full auto.
All it does is keep me from not being able to get a switch on my Glock.
So jealous.
That's just right. That's right. History is happening all around you, my friends.
It is unnerving, but are you ready to fight? I mean, that's really what the question comes down to. Are you ready to push back? Are you ready to continue voting the way you've been voting for the last 50 years? I mean,
look, everywhere at Timcast. Josh, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, sure. You guys follow me at Twitter. It's at Joshua at large, all spelled out. And then, of course, the campaign website is joshuasmith2024.com. I saw a lot of people asking about this hoodie. It says a vote for vengeance, and it is for sale on our campaign website.
That was a fun one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Josh, thanks for hanging out. It's been a blast.
Yeah, of course, man. I had a good time too. I didn't tell people about my show earlier, but
tell us.
I do have a show called Break the Cycle with Joshua Smith. If anybody ever wants to check it out, we're live on Thursday evenings.
When will we know if you're the candidate?
May of next year is our nominating convention. So
okay,
yeah, I got a lot of time.
Where do people see your show?
On YouTube. If you look up youtube.com/fight the despots, it'll take you right to my show. But we're also on Rumble and Odyssey and BitChute and some other ones too.
Right on, man. Thanks for hanging out. It's been a blast.
No, I had a blast. Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys.
My name's Joshua Smith, and I'm running for president. I'm ready to fight back. Are you?
How do people not vote for this?